Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are having a double feature episode. We've got the first match in the Georgia, the second match in the Iowa, and I've got some things I want to talk about. This is a story time with Spartan. It's been a little while since we've done one of these, and I kind of wanted to get back in there because I needed some things to say to talk to you guys. So, something happened to me relatively recently. You may have noticed I went AFK for a while. I kind of disappeared for like over a week, and that's very unusual for me. So what happened? For those of you who don't read the community posts, you may not have known that I actually had COVID. So, yeah, the thing that I've been doing everything in my power to avoid for the last year and over a half, so a year and 8 months, I somehow managed to get COVID. Now, let's put some things into perspective. First of all, not vaccinated. A lot of people have kind of put that in my face a little bit, be like, oh, you should have been vaccinated, but vaccinations don't protect you from getting the virus. They're there to mainly keep you, keep the symptoms less severe, okay? The reason I have not been vaccinated is pretty simple. I live in the middle of nowhere. I work from home. I have very limited interactions with anybody outside of my home. So that, coupled with the fact that I am 35, well, I'll be 35 next month, 35 years old, in decent shape. I'm losing weight. I've been getting healthier over the last year. I feel that my risk associated with COVID is pretty minimal. So, to me, the vaccine isn't worth the risk. So that's my standing on the whole thing. I'm not anti-vax. I just, I take a look at all of the things, and I just see that in my personal opinion, with all of my risk factors and stuff, I'm at a very minimal risk of complications from COVID. Or so I thought. So, let's get into when I first discovered that I was sick. I had went to a funeral on a Saturday for a friend of the family. I did not wear a mask. I generally had been wearing masks, but, up here in Ohio, they lifted the mandate, so we don't actually have to wear them anymore. And so that ends up biting me in the booty, because nobody wants to wear a mask, but in this case, it probably should have been worn. And I didn't. And because of that, I got sick. Now, fast forward 2 days from Saturday, Monday, I take a pill every night before I go to bed. And I'm not going to go into details about what that pill is, but I take a pill every night before I go to bed. And I kind of swallowed the pill wrong. You ever do that? You ever go to take a pill and you just kind of swallow wrong and it kind of scratches your throat? Well, that's kind of what happened to me. And so then I got a sore throat. It's not that uncommon, so didn't think anything of it. Monday night goes by, Tuesday goes by, still got a sore throat, and it's actually getting worse. Wednesday goes by, the sore throat's not getting any better, and at this point I'm kind of figuring, okay, maybe I've got something, probably strep throat or something, It's nothing crazy. I'm not sick or anything like that. Just got a sore throat. So Thursday, I decide, okay, I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to go out and go to the urgent care that I always go to when I'm sick, because they do a pretty good job of diagnosing and getting me the right things that I need. I don't go to the doctors very often. I don't like to take medicine or anything like that. I generally avoid everything, and I just tough it out. If I got headaches and stuff, I don't take Advil or anything like that. I just tough it out. But in the case of getting sick, I have a nasty history of not going and getting checked out, letting it persist, and then it getting worse. And so I want to get ahead of that. After my sinus infection turned double ear infection and upper respiratory infection from a couple years ago that some of you may remember, I don't let that persist anymore. I get to the hospital, or I get to the urgent care where they can get me diagnosed so I can get on the better track before it gets worse. Now, that was the goal. So Thursday I go in, I get checked for strep. They do the normal throat swab, which if you have strep and they do that throat swab, it is the worst feeling in the world. Now, they swabbed me. It wasn't that bad. And they come back with a negative test. However, they did send a culture out to the lab to be checked, which came back positive for strep, but not the strep that causes everybody issues and needs antibiotics. It was the lesser strain that they just let get better on its own. So that's what I was diagnosed with. But the doctor also said because I was having fever and stuff like that, that I should get checked for COVID. And so he wrote me a thing that I literally just went out of the building, got in my car, and drove through a drive-thru at the same building and got tested for COVID. And that was pretty rough. I'm not going to lie. They shove a big straw up your nose, essentially. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those, like, coffee stirrers. It's got the little flap on the end. That's basically what it is. If you haven't been COVID tested, that was the COVID test that I received. I've heard there are others, but that was the COVID test I received. It's literally a coffee stirrer that they shove down your nose, and I'm pretty sure it goes halfway into your brain, and they do a quick little turn, and then they pull it back out. It's real quick. It does hurt a little bit, and maybe that had something to do with the fact that I was sick. I don't know. But it does hurt a little bit. And they give you the test, and they say, okay, we've tested you, and you should get the results in the next 24 to 48 hours. I got a call the very next morning, and I'll be real honest. Friday, and by the way, I was given a steroid prescription for my throat, but I didn't actually take it because, again, generally speaking, if it's something that will get better on its own, I let it get better on its own rather than trying to take medicine for it. And so that's what I decided to do. And lo and behold, Friday came along. My throat was feeling much better. Wasn't actually feeling too bad. But that's when all of the other things started. And I got a phone call. And the phone call, I don't know, it was like 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning. I got a phone call saying, hey, this is such and such, your doctor. You saw me yesterday at the urgent care. I just want to let you know. The test came back. It is positive. You do have COVID. Great. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty confident. You know, I'm not feeling bad. My throat's getting better. I'm figuring I'm probably on the upswing. I was wrong. Let me explain some things to you. By the way, this is ZF6. While he is a sneaky little bugger, he is very predictable. And so we managed to dodge his torpedoes in an Georgia from point frickin' blank. But I digress. Back to the story. Where was I? I just got diagnosed. I was feeling better. I thought I was on the upswing. We were going to be fine. But I was wrong. COVID and I had some issues. And the issues that I had ended up with me being in a hospital for 3 days. Not because of the COVID, but because of a complication that happened as it was a congruent effort. It was a complication that arose from everything that had led up to this point put together. Okay, so let's get this straight. So I had up at this point on Friday, I was 8 days into walking my 5-mile route every single day, rather than the every other day that I had been doing. So my body's trying to adjust to no recovery time and doing 5 miles a day. I am sick. So I am walking 5 miles a day while sick on a very restrictive diet. Okay, that I've been on this diet since October of last year. It's not something that is new. It's just I'm on a restrictive diet. I put myself on that. I have been able to lose a really good amount of weight, and I'm getting closer to my goals. Okay, so and this is all part of me rebalancing my life to try to get more healthy. Okay, so that's why I wasn't particularly concerned about COVID. But with all of this, you have the restrictive diet, jumping into doing 5 miles a day every day for 8 days straight at this point, getting sick with strep as well as COVID. And the COVID hit me pretty hard with unusual symptoms. I got the normal fever and chills, which, by the way, is crazy because you actually, at least I got the fever and the chills at the same time. Like, I was both burning up and freezing at the exact same time. I can't explain it. It was awful. But beyond the fever, and my fever actually got pretty high, especially when I was in the hospital, they actually could measure it. I don't have a thermometer to measure my fever, but my Fitbit was recording my skin temperature, and my skin temperature went off the charts, or at least off of my average, off the charts for my average. But yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. I had a temperature multiple times in the 103 to 104 and above range, which is very bad for an adult. Adults are not supposed to have temperatures above 104 degrees. It's really bad for your brain. Bad things happen to your body. It's not good when you have a temperature that high. And for the times that I was home where I had the fever, I wasn't treating the fever. So I was just suffering through the fever and potentially doing more damage to myself. Okay? Now, why did I end up going to the hospital if it wasn't for COVID? Well, what happened was Friday night into Saturday morning, or no, let's get this straight. Let's make sure we're correct.
Torpedoes to starboard.
Yes, Friday night into Saturday morning, I had some issues. So I was sleeping a lot. Like, COVID completely takes all of your energy as we get smacked and get a citadel against us from that Kansas. I vastly underestimated his reload. His reload actually caught me, which Kansas, everybody knows, reloads really slowly. But anyway, we're going to be able to angle against him. We've got the ZF-6 out here, and you can see I'm going to ping the ZF-6, and our ZF-6 is going to engage him and absolutely murder him, which is fantastic, as we have managed to bring this game back from the brink. But anyway, back to the story. We end up having an issue where, because I was sleeping so much, I kept getting up in the middle of the night. And when I say I was sleeping a lot, I'm talking sleeping for 10 to 12 hours a day. Okay? And that was Thursday, Friday, like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I was sleeping like 10 to 12 hours a day. Because the COVID literally just saps everything from you. Like, it makes you just not want to do anything. Now, at that point, I wasn't experiencing any shortness of breath. I didn't have the pneumonia that everybody talks about is an issue with COVID. I didn't have any of that. But because of the fevers, because of the serious fatigue, and when I say serious fatigue, I'm not joking. The fatigue for me was horrible. I started to experience an issue where I would go to the bathroom, and when I was standing up to go to the bathroom at night, I know, TMI, but that's what this story is all about, I would just pass out. I've never in my life had an issue passing out. Initially, I thought it may be blood sugar related because of the being sick and the extra exercise and staying on the diet, so I started eating more sugar and stuff, thinking that would help it. It did not help it. So the problem with passing out is, unlike a lot of people who pass out, who get lightheaded and you can feel it coming, you just kind of sit down, you get woozy. I didn't have any of that with this. It's just 1 minute you're fine and the next you're gone. And it was like somebody took a light switch and flipped the switch and I was on the floor. And the problem with that is I'm 6'2" and 235 pounds currently. Hitting the floor sucks, especially in a small room where you're not just going to hit the floor and hit your head, you're going to hit everything in the room on your way down. And I kept falling up against the washer and dryer in the bathroom. I fell on the toilet paper holder, which was made of metal, and hurt myself there. I hit my head multiple times, had multiple concussions, I'm assuming, even though it wasn't diagnosed. But I had the symptoms of concussion from hitting my head. I fell in the shower when I was taking a shower, but I wasn't falling any other time. And eventually, after falling too many times in a short amount of time between Friday night and Saturday afternoon, I told my dad, I said, I need to go to the hospital. Can you take me to the hospital? So, and it wasn't because of the COVID that I was going to hospital. It was solely due to being on, or the passing out. I don't know why I'm passing out. Passing out can lead to a whole bunch of problems, can also mean a whole bunch of problems. So I've got to try to get to the bottom of why I'm passing out and try to stop it. So we go to the hospital, and I called ahead to let them know I am COVID positive, like I do have COVID, and I need to come into the hospital. But it's not COVID related why I'm coming into the hospital. But I wanted to let them know ahead of time so that they can let people, or, do what they have to do on the hospital side of things, so that I can get through and not expose too many people to COVID when I'm in the hospital, because they're in the hospital for another reason. They're probably got higher risk factors. I don't want to expose them. So, it's all the things that, you worry about. Needless to say, I get to the hospital, I check in, I tell them, hey, I called ahead, I do have COVID, I need to get in, and I was wearing my mask and everything. Obviously, if I've got COVID and I know I'm going to be around people, got to wear the mask. So I go in, I'm wearing my mask. They pull me straight in. There's probably 20 people, and I'm not exaggerating, probably 20 people in the waiting room to get into the ER. And here I come along and sign in and get pulled into a room immediately into triage. The main reason for this was isolation. Keep me away from them. That way I put less people at risk. Okay? It took them a long time to get me triaged, but once they got me triaged and I went over the reason I was there, and it wasn't COVID the reason I was there. I wasn't short of breath. I wasn't having trouble breathing, anything like that. I told them it was because I kept passing out, but I do have COVID, and I'm not sure if there's a correlation or what I got to do to try to get past this. I've never had an issue passing out before. Is it something that's going to go away? Is it something that, Anyway, so with all of that being said, I get into the hospital. I end up spending the next 3 days in the hospital. It was Saturday night, Sunday night, and I got to come home Monday. But for the entire time that I was in the hospital, I couldn't sleep. So I was literally up for basically 3 days straight. I kept having the fevers, and again, they tested me, and when they tested me, I tested one time above 104. The rest of the time, it would get up to 103, 102, and they would give me just one Advil. That's it. Or one Tylenol, sorry, it wasn't Advil. It was Tylenol. And oh my God, that key just got touched. 5 penetrations with 3 citadels. Iowa giving me good dispersion today, baby. But anyway, back to the story. That Tylenol, the Tylenol that they gave me just knocks it out within minutes. I'm not joking. I had no idea Tylenol was that good with fevers, but whatever they give you in the hospital that they call Tylenol, like, it literally knocks the fever down within minutes. And you start feeling a lot better on that side of things. The problem was being in the hospital and being a fall risk because of the passing out. The doctors put me as basically not allowed to leave my bed. The only time I could leave my bed was to get up to go to the bathroom. Very first night in the hospital, once I finally got my room and they admitted me to the hospital, I asked to go to the bathroom. I told them, just a reminder, because they hadn't gotten, oh my God, that Suja has no chance. Down he goes. But I told them I was a fall risk because the communication that day, of course, they're understaffed, they're overworked because there was a lot of people that night. Everything's going nuts, and so the communication wasn't that great. So I reminded them, hey, I am a fall risk, just so you know. I do have a tendency to pass out, and I tend to pass out when I'm going to the bathroom, just as a heads up. So the nurse that's with me, or the nurse's assistant, I guess, that was with me, she was ready, and she was right there next to me when I was going to the bathroom. And she's talking to me the whole time. And the whole reason they're talking to you is keep you engaged, try to keep your brain doing what it needs to do as we enter emergency mode here with the Mogami charging us down, obviously looking to try to torp us or just not paying attention. Maybe they're trying to ram us. But we're waiting for the Mogami to turn. As soon as it gives us an angle, it actually torps somebody else. And as soon as it opens that angle up, we smash him. And we were pretty confident we were going to get this kill, but unfortunately Ochakov steals it from us. But it's okay. Anyway, back to the story. She's talking to me, and she had just said, if you start to feel lightheaded or anything, let me know. I'm right here. We'll get you back to your bed or whatever. And it was at that exact moment that I collapsed, just dropped. There was no lightheadedness or nothing like that, just straight up collapsed. And so I fell backwards in the hospital bathroom with my nurse's assistant literally standing next to me. She couldn't do a thing about it. Obviously, like I said, I am 6'2", 235 pounds. She couldn't do anything. And I don't think she had time to do anything. I fell straight back, hitting my head and my back on the brick wall that is the divider between the hospital room and the shower. And it's about 3 inches wide. It scratched me all the way down my back, right down the middle of my spine, and left me with a nasty hit on the back of my head, which is the most dangerous place to hit your head, if you didn't know. And so, long story short, we finally get out of the hospital. They weren't able to tell me why I was collapsing. They kept saying it has something to do with when you go from sitting down or laying down to getting up, your blood pressure drops, and a lot of people have issues there. But it didn't make sense to me because it wasn't happening any other time or when I was just getting up. It was after I walked into the bathroom and I'm standing in the bathroom using the bathroom. That and taking a shower were the only times that I actually passed out. So when I go out and feed my dog and the cats, or do my other chores around the house, I wasn't having any issues. But finally get out of the hospital, and because I was sitting in bed for 3 days and not able to move a whole lot because I was told not to leave my bed, I ended up having pneumonia worse than I had going in. And the pneumonia actually does suck. It's like somebody's sitting on your chest and doesn't allow you to take a full breath. But knowing that that's the case, I kept working through it, and we kept going. And once I was home, I passed out one time since I've been home, and that was in the shower, like the day after I got out of the hospital. I haven't passed out since. And so I think I'm past all of that nonsense. We're back to exercising every day, and I have made a full recovery from COVID. But we end up finishing this match with 128,000 damage, top of the leaderboard. We did all the things. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this story time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my experience with COVID. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.